My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Euphoria Season 2 has just completed its run last week, and boy do I have some things to say. I would like to start off by saying that I wasn't like a diehard fan of the first season. It has the usual things that I dislike about Western high school shows, like the over-dramatization and the over-sexualization of teenagers. I know the actors are adults, but it's still very weird, Mr. Levinson. But I can still see why people like it so much. For one thing, the cinematography is amazing, it's got some amazing effects for a teen drama series, absolute bops, brilliant acting from everyone in the cast, and more importantly, the characters just had so many layers to them. I may not be from America, but I could still relate to some of the struggles that the characters have, which is rare whenever I watch a Western high school series. While I may not have cash pigs, I could still really relate to Kat in some way and her journey of finding confidence. I could also really relate to Lexi. Even characters that I absolutely hated like Nate has got so much depth to them that I can't help but understand why he does what he does. He's still an asshole though.
Fuck Nate Jacobs.
So I still went to watch season 2, curious to see if it'll hold up to the first, or will it perhaps be even better? And not really. But first, let's talk about the good things. For one, the acting in the show is still amazing. Zendaya's performance in episode 5 was just so painful, and I wouldn't be surprised if she wins another Emmy. Sydney Sweeney's performance during her mental breakdowns makes me want to hug Cassie, but also at the same time want to smack some sense into her. Erica Dane's performance in episode 4 had me cringing, cause ew. And those were just some of my favorite moments. There's also a lot of symbolism and references like the first season, which I thought was really interesting, such as the montage in episode 4, the Cassie Midsommar light shot, which is just absolutely beautiful, and Shrek 2? It's cool stuff, so I'll give it that. The soundtrack still slaps, so God bless you, Labyrinth. Rue's storyline is also still one of the most authentic and real part of the show. Some of the characters also really got to shine this season, and it made me really happy. The first, of course, being Lexi. This is gonna be biased because, like I said just now, Lexi was just one of my favorite characters in the show since I related to her so much. She's always in the shadow of her friends, just observing and being too afraid to speak out. The scene where she was talking about how everything plays out like a show in her head was just so accurate to me. Like, bruh, I felt called out. And when she pulled in Ember Island players from Avatar, I was just cheering for her because it was just such a power move. She's also the character that to me seems the most real and relatable to many people, and I'm glad that we finally got to explore more about her in this season. We also got to explore more of Nate's parents, which I thought was really interesting. Cal may be a piece of shit and a disgusting pedophile, but his backstory really made me feel bad for him. I'm not saying that what he did was justifiable. It's not, in any shape or form. I hope he rots in prison, but I thought that seeing his downward spiral was pretty realistic, especially in considering how he started realizing how fucked up he was at the end of season 1. We also got a little bit of Martha in this season, which I thought was really interesting since she was just there in the first season. So to see who she was and also to see her perspective was pretty interesting. And of course, Cassie. Now, I'm not trying to defend Cassie in any way because gosh, but I still somewhat felt that her hitting rock bottom was justified. She did mention in the first season that she tries to look for the best in every man and is always craving affection from men no matter how bad they may be due to her father not being there for her when she was younger. She also went through an abortion, so she may be feeling a lot of guilt and regret, especially considering how she was only 17. Adding on to the fact that McKay doesn't even seem to care, and the fact that Nate was the only guy to seem to quote-unquote care after all of that, I could see why she would risk her friendship with Maddie to go with Nate. Do I support her though? Absolutely freaking not. Girlie needs an exorcism, and to go for Nate of all people, like, disgusting! And speaking of Nate, let's move on to the things that I don't like this season, which of course is just the rest of the characters, because they're just there now. I felt like we didn't really get into them that much since the main focus of the season is mainly Cassie and Nate's relationship and Rue's addiction. Hence, I was pretty sad that other characters don't really get a lot of development. I felt like Jules' only purpose in the season was to cheat on Rue and go and flush down her drugs. Maddie was also just there to give Cassie a reason to feel bad, and there's also the thing with the camera, which we will discuss a bit later. Nate is just being Nate. I just hope Jacob Elordi stays far away from Netflix. Faz did get an episode, but unlike Cal or Lexi's episode, I felt that we didn't learn anything that we don't already know. We already know that he cares about his grandma and Ash, he's also really loyal and caring. All the episode did was just show us the reason, but I felt that we did not really go deep into his character like the previous episodes, which is a shame because this man is really out here being the best man possible, along with Ethan, who is also just there. He did carry, literally, Lexi's play, and did so flawlessly, but I do hope that we get more in-depth into his character in the next season because he is just the bestest boy. If Kat doesn't want him, I am completely available, sir. Faye and Elliot are just Faye and Elliot. McKay is like gone? I do understand why though, since he is not in high school like the rest of the characters according to the actor, so I can see why from a writing standpoint it will make sense for them to go back and forth to make the show messier than it already is. Sure, he wasn't the most interesting character in season 1, but he did have some really interesting insights that they brought up, and he also went through a traumatic experience. It is a shame that we didn't get to explore more of his character, and I felt that they definitely could have ended it better. However, the character that really missed the nail here would be Kat. Like I said, I love Kat, and I think her storyline is most probably one of the more relatable aspects of the show. I also can't imagine how inspiring it is for plus-size individuals seeing someone like them being portrayed on screen as a confident queen. But this season just threw that completely out of the window. Her drastic shift in character was just so out of the blue, and I'm okay with it if they showed her struggles during her relationship with Ethan that caused her complete 180, but they didn't. Her struggle to love herself with the whole self-help body positivity movement online was also so relatable, but we just didn't get any elaboration on that. It was just addressed in 1 or 2 scenes, which is really a shame. Some say it's because Barbie Ferreira got into an argument with the writer, and if that's true, they didn't even try to hide it because she's just barely in the season. Yeah, something that I also realized in this season is how the storylines don't seem to connect as well as before. In the first season, I was pretty impressed with how the show connected seemingly different storylines really well, hence the show felt really smooth. But this season, it felt like the storylines was just all over the place. I'm not saying it made the show a very big mess, but it's something that I noticed. And there's also the nudity. Yeah, I know, it's Euphoria. I knew what I was signing up for, but goddamn, there was just so many nude scenes in this season that I felt did not need to be there. Maybe it's my conservative Asian self speaking, but goddamn. In the first episode, they had a whole scene where everyone had to strip and they filmed a separate scene to give Rue a reason not to. I'm okay with Zendaya not stripping because I'm not a creep like some people. I'm mad because that scene shows that they are able to show how fucked up the situation is without the nudity, but they did it anyway with the rest of the characters. I also did not need to see whatever Cal was doing in Nate's dream because what was the reason? And apparently there was supposed to be more. Minka Kelly, who played Samantha, and Sydney Sweeney, who played Cassie, have mentioned how there were many nude scenes that they felt were necessary to the plot, so they asked Sam Levinson not to film it, and he said okay. I'm glad that at least the filming environment is comfortable enough for the actors to voice out their own opinions, but it's still very weird. There's also the change in filming style. This is a personal thing, but something that I really liked about the first season was the colors. It gave the show a really unique look, and it also gives you a sense of how the characters are feeling. Red to show passion and danger, yellow to show fear, blue to show anxiety and uncertainty, and of course, purple. I mean, I may be wrong because these are all the things that I learned from Frozen, but this season they shot it on film. According to Sam Levinson, this is to create the effect of high school being a memory. I guess it's also another reason why the show uses a lot more yellow, as we can see from the change of the color for the title. While I felt that they did achieve this effect that they were going for, and it's still gorgeous because it's Euphoria, you know, I do miss how the first season looked. And lastly, there is a lot of unanswered questions, like who the fuck is
Master Said 99?
In the previous season, what happened to Nate's third brother, what's Rue gonna do about the 10K, and what is Laurie hiding behind the door, who's watching Maddie, and what are they going to do? I wouldn't mind all of these unanswered questions, but they specifically focused on it sometimes, and it makes you think that they are important, only to not mention it ever again, and it's kind of infuriating. If I could sum up this season in one word, it would be entertaining. It's still fun and has some iconic scenes, but it's just that. It isn't anything groundbreaking like the first season, which is a shame. But then again, these are all my opinions and interpretations, and you are free to have your own opinions. If you thought that this was a great season, that's okay. If you think that this show has become the worst, that's also okay. What do you think of season 2 of Euphoria? Let me know in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, stay safe, and have a great week ahead. Bye!